Cold doesn't care about bravery, it doesn't care about strength, and it definitely doesn't care about legends. Vikings survived brutal northern winters without central heating, without radiators, and often without keeping a fire burning all night. The secret wasn't in their weapons or their fur cloaks. It was under their feet. And once you understand it, you'll start questioning how modern homes deal with cold at all. Here's the interesting part. Vikings didn't fight winter head-on. They outsmarted it. While much of Europe struggled to keep warmth indoors, Norse builders quietly developed a floor system that trapped heat, blocked moisture, and stabilized indoor temperatures using nothing more than earth, stone, and air. No fire required, no fuel wasted, just physics, applied with ruthless efficiency. Let's break it down, because this wasn't accidental, this was survival engineering. Winter was the real enemy. The Viking world was cold, wet, and unforgiving. Long winters, frozen ground, and relentless winds defined daily life in Scandinavia. Firewood was precious. Lighting a hearth constantly wasn't just impractical, it was dangerous. Smoke inhalation, accidental fires, and fuel shortages were real threats. So the goal wasn't constant heat. The goal was thermal stability. Vikings needed homes that resisted cold, not ones that tried to overpower it. And, that mindset changed everything about how they built. The hidden power of the Viking floor. The Viking floor wasn't just a surface you walked on. Actually, it was a thermal system. At its core was a layered construction that modern builders would recognize as insulation, vapor control, and thermal mass, all rolled into one. First came compacted earth. This wasn't loose dirt. It was tamped down hard, creating a dense base that blocked wind and slowed heat loss. On top of that, Vikings added layers of stone, gravel, clay, or turf, depending on the region and available materials. These layers acted as thermal mass. During the day, they absorbed heat from sunlight, body warmth, and cooking fires. At night, they released that heat slowly, keeping indoor temperatures from crashing. No flames, no active heating, just stored warmth doing its job. Why no fire was the point? Modern thinking assumes warmth comes from heat sources. Vikings thought in terms of heat retention. Fires were used sparingly, often only for cooking or brief warmth bursts. The real work happened after the fire died. Because the floor held heat, the interior didn't instantly turn into an icebox. The temperature drop was gradual, manageable, and predictable. That predictability mattered. It meant people could sleep, work, and survive without waking to frozen breath or numb limbs. And there was another advantage. Floors stayed dry. Moisture was a silent killer. Cold alone won't kill you. Cold and moisture will. Viking floors were designed to breathe. Unlike sealed modern concrete slabs, these floors allowed moisture to move through layers without pooling. Water vapor escaped downward or laterally instead of condensing inside the home. That kept bedding, clothing, and food stores dry, which was just as important as warmth. Dry air feels warmer. Dry materials insulate better. Vikings understood this through experience, not equations. The psychological edge of warm feet. Here's a detail most people miss. Warmth perception actually starts at the extremities. Cold floors, drain body heat fast, especially when people sit, sleep, or work close to the ground. Viking floors stayed relatively warm to the touch compared to bare stone or frozen earth. That meant warmer feet, which meant better circulation, better sleep, and, honestly, higher morale. In survival situations, comfort isn't a luxury. It's a force multiplier. This wasn't about comfort in the modern sense. It was really about staying functional through months of darkness and cold. Now comes the uncomfortable question. If this works so well, why don't modern homes use it? The answer is speed and standardization. Modern construction, really prioritizes fast builds and uniform materials. Concrete slabs are cheap, quick, and predictable. But honestly, they're also thermally brutal unless heavily modified with insulation, heating systems, and vapor barriers. We add technology to fix problems that older designs avoided entirely. Viking floors required labor, local materials, and an understanding of the land. They weren't one size fits all. Instead, they were customized to climate, soil, and usage. That flexibility doesn't scale easily, so it disappeared. But the physics didn't change. Modern science, interestingly enough, confirms the Viking logic. Thermal mass is now a cornerstone of passive house design. Earth-sheltered buildings, rammed earth walls, and radiant floor concepts all echo what Vikings did intuitively. The idea is simple. Store heat when it's available, release it slowly, and avoid sharp temperature swings. Even modern radiant floor heating works better when paired with thick, dense flooring. Without realizing it, we're reinventing Viking logic with electric cables and water pipes. They did it with dirt and stone. So, here are some practical lessons you can use today. You don't need to live in a longhouse to apply this. Homes that use thick flooring materials like stone, tile, or earthen layers retain heat longer. Avoiding exposed concrete without insulation dramatically improves comfort. Even adding rugs or raised wooden floors mimics the insulating effect Vikings relied on. In off-grid or survival scenarios, this knowledge becomes powerful. A well-built earthen floor can reduce reliance on fuel, lower fire risk, and stabilize indoor temperatures in cold climates. It's quiet efficiency, the kind that keeps you alive without drawing attention. The real genius was restraint. Vikings didn't chase comfort. They chased reliability. Their floors didn't need maintenance. They didn't break. They didn't depend on systems that could fail. And that's the lesson modern survival thinking keeps rediscovering. The best solution is often the one that does less, not more. No switches, no fuel lines, no moving parts. Just gravity, mass, and time working in your favor. History isn't primitive. It's selective. Skills disappear not because they don't work, but because they don't fit the economic or cultural priorities of the moment. The Viking floor trick wasn't lost due to inefficiency. It was lost because it didn't need selling, it didn't break, it didn't require upgrades. And that's exactly why it deserves remembering. Because survival isn't about technology. It's about understanding your environment better than it understands you. If this kind of forgotten wisdom fascinates you, you're in the right place. Legacy of Survival exists to uncover these quiet, powerful techniques that kept people alive long before modern convenience took over. If you found value here, hit like, subscribe to the channel, and share this story with someone who appreciates real, tested survival knowledge. Stay curious, stay grounded, and stay warm the old way.